Hey, everybody, welcome back to Winamac Hockey. We're going to continue talking about free agency today. And today we're going to talk about the Carolina Hurricanes, who have made some pretty significant moves thus far, but not really via signing people, but more or less trading for people. They acquired Brent Burns from the San Jose Sharks in exchange for Lawrence McAniemi and a third-round pick, and they also got some of that salary retained, which is big for them. And then they also just acquired Max Pacioretty from Vegas for future considerations. Fellas, what do you think about these moves that Carolina is making? This team had plenty of cap coming into the free agency frenzy here, and they're a team that's obviously competitive. So what do you think of these moves? Step back or step forward?
When I see these, my first thought is, I think it was 2 years ago now, the Washington Capitals. They go out, they get Ilya Kovalchuk and Henrik Lundqvist. So what I'm thinking is going to happen here is Pacioretty's going to have a heart attack and not play, and Brent Burns is going to move to the KHL after the season. But really, I think this is a bad move. It didn't work for the Capitals, and I think that Carolina let a good player in Trochek just walk away for nothing. I think that's a mistake, and I think the direction here is questionable.
Absolutely. They let Trochek walk, and not only did he walk, but he went to a division rival. So that's going to be something to watch this upcoming season. But Matt, let's come over to you. What do you think about Brent Burns? Do you think he can offer some life into this defensive core of Carolina, or do you think that it's a step back like Jake thinks?
I think it's definitely a step back on the forward side of things. But for a guy like Brent Burns, I think he could fit in this system because he's a guy, obviously an offensive defenseman, used to be a forward. So definitely an offensive defenseman. I think he could definitely fit the Dougie Hamilton role. I don't know if he can give as much production as Dougie Hamilton did, but I think he's a guy you throw him in there with a guy like Jacob Slavin, that could be a really good defensive pair, and you kind of revitalize his career there. And I think it's something that could add some life to this defense that's really all just a bunch of defensive defensemen. They can't do anything for the offense, which was a big issue this year for them. That they got no scoring from their defense. That's something that Brent Burns is going to give them this year. And a guy like Pacioretty, I mean, it's a weird one. Obviously, future considerations strike again with him. It seems like with all these older players, future considerations are going to send all over the place. But, yeah, Pacioretty, a guy, took a huge step back this year for Vegas. I think he was hurt for most of the year anyway. But he really not a guy that's going to help you at all on the offensive end. And like Jake said, when you're letting a guy like Trochek go, a guy, and then he goes over to the team that beats you in the playoffs. So, I mean, it's another double whammy there for this team. And it's kind of like you're taking one step forward on the defensive end, but then you're taking like 3 steps back on the offensive end. So I think overall it's probably an out.
Yeah, I do want to say here that Carolina lost their offensive defenseman and Tony DeAngelo, who signed with Philly. So they went out and they replaced him with Brent Burns, which I think is a good move. But honestly, I think the true winner of this trade is Brent Burns himself. He's going from San Jose, who was successful for a while in the playoffs, and now he's going to a team that is even more successful because obviously San Jose is just not with it right now. They're kind of going through a rebuild themselves. So for him to come to Carolina, that's got to be a sigh of relief for him. So I ultimately think he's the biggest winner of the trade.
I also was thinking about Tony DeAngelo because he was a really good fit for their system and he put up numbers for them. So I think they traded him. So they gave up on him early. And I don't understand why they would get rid of 26-year-old DeAngelo, who plays the same role as Brent Burns. Get this. Brent Burns is 37 years old, and he's still under contract. They retained some, so he's still making around a little over $5 million per year for Carolina until he's 40 years old. And the production has already fallen off. It's not like this guy is questionable. Well, can he keep it up? He can't. We know he can't. Tony DeAngelo is 11 years younger, and they got rid of him.
Yeah, and ultimately they're paying more money for Brent Burns. So definitely interesting moves over there in Carolina. But, hey, those of you who are watching, let us know what you think of that move. Do you think it's going to pay off for them and they might go get a Stanley Cup out of this? Or do you think it's going to be a step back like we think? So, yeah, let us know in the comments below. And we'll see you next time on Winamac Hockey.